One of the hardest games in the world is called Getting Over It. And this type of games are called a rage game. A rage game is a very hard game that is designed to frustrate and anger the player and eventually leading to a rage quit, making them suffer and causing pure depression. So I want to make my own rage game, and before making a rage game, you need to consider these two things. Number 1 is you need to make the player suffer, and number 2 is show no mercy. Now, one of the things that makes a game really hard is the player control, which how you control the player. And by increasing the difficulty on our player control, we will make this game 1000 times harder. So enough of that, let's open Unity and add a capsule. Our capsule is our player. Anyways, we need to make our player move, so I write down a simple movement script that will make our player, well, move. And this simple movement is controlled by pressing WASD, which is boring and not that hard. So since ASWD is not an option, we need to make another player control that will be 1000 times harder. And after a while, I ended up going with this type of strategy. A player that you need to control by typing a word. For example, if we want our player to move forward, we need to type the word walk. And if you want it to jump, you need to type the word jump, which I think is very hard to maneuver. So now that we know what kind of player movement we're going to create, we need to do some coding. And by simply adding an input field where you can type text, it will now detect when you type the word walk and the player will start walking. And if you want to walk backwards, you need to add a negative symbol before typing the word walk, which I think is way better than typing the word backward. And by using the same line of code but with a different action, our whole player movement will now be complete. And here's all of the actions that you can type. You can walk, negative walk, stop, run, negative run, stop, jump, crouch, and stand. And you can just figure it out when you play this game. If you play this game. Now that we have that, our player capsule needs a real body, which is kind of a problem, but we can fix this by using pixel art. And by using this website named Pixel Art where you can make pixel art, we can make our pixel art player. I highly recommend using it if you want to make a pixel art. Anyways, after 20 minutes, our player is now complete. I went for a robot look that does not have an arm. And this robot is highly inspired by a character named Wall-E. And I separate him in 3 pieces so that we can animate him later. And by adding it in Unity, and here's our player so far. And by adding it in Unity, and here's our player so far. It's completely not moving. So we're going to add some animation to make our player look more alive. And also do some code in order for the animation to work. And by wasting 5 hours on this animation and some coding, our player robot is now living. And I really think that this robot actually fits the mechanic of the game, because you're like ordering a robot to do something. Oh, forgot to mention that I'm also going to make this into a parkour game. So there is still a lot more to do. Now, since we're making a parkour game, we need to make a parkour map because it's kind of important. Now, most games have levels, first level being the easiest, and the more level you go through, the harder the game will be. But that is not the case for my game, because this game is only going to have one singular level, which is obviously going to be a big level. First thing I did is I made a platform in pixel art so that the player will be standing on something. And I made the very first challenge that the player will encounter, which is really simple. You just need to do some basic parkour and you'll get through it. Probably. Anyways, we need to continue making this map, and I'm not really going to show you all of the maps that I made because that will kinda spoil the game. But I'm going to be showing you some interesting obstacles that will make this game a bit more challenging. Such as I made this fan that will boost you up. It's not really a fan, but whatever. Along with a bouncing thing, a moving platform, and some obstacles that you need to avoid. And I also think that this game is slightly impossible to beat, because there's some obstacles that I didn't really playtest. So if you're playing this right now, I'm really sorry. But anyways, if you somehow beat this game, you'll get an amazing reward that will be stuck on your head forever. So don't expect too much. So now that we have the map, we need to do some UI, which is the main menu and some game over screen and the pause button, which is very important as well. First thing I did is I made a main menu. And did I mention that this main menu is absolutely so cool? And also including some buttons such as the play button and the question mark button, which will show you all of the words that you can type, so that you don't go around typing random words. Next thing that we need to add as well is a pause button. And pausing the game is actually really simple to do. All you need is to just set the value of time scale into 0. And if you don't know what a time scale is, it's just basically you scaling time. I think. Yes, I know, nothing really make any sense because it's coding. Of course nothing will make sense. What do you expect? Anyways, the only thing that matters is that the pause button is working. And the last UI thing that we need to add is a game over screen, which is also very important when you die. So I made some UI, made the player disconnect himself, and there we go. The player will now die. And all of the UI stuff now should probably be working pretty well now. I'm not really seeing any bugs on this. Now, one of the things that we also need to improve is the background, which I don't really know how to make this aesthetic, but luckily I ended up figuring something out. So I quickly made a background in pixel art, made 4 layers of background, connected into the player's view, and moved each layer of the background in different speed. And I made the front background being the fastest and the back layer of the background being the slowest, which will give us that background view thing. But anyways, it just looks so cool. And that's when I realized that this game is almost finished. So we're just going to wrap this up really quick. So we need to add some sound effects. In order to make our sound effect, I'm going to be using SFXR to make our sound effects. And here it is in action. It definitely needs some improvements, but for now, I think it works fine. And there you have it, a hard game that is made by an idiot. Because when playtesting this, I'm already rage quitting on my own game. But that is exactly what I want. So hey, if you want to play this game, you can download it on itch.io. And I decided to call this Type It because you're typing word in order to make the player move. Keep in mind, this game is not really fun to play. I mean, it's annoying, rage quitting, and hard. Anyways, if you encounter a bug, tell me in the comment, or don't tell me in the comment because I will probably not fix it. But the important thing is, I had a bit of fun when making this and I learned a lot of new things. So I will be seeing you on the next one, I think. Just realized that my microphone is so bad because I'm using my phone.